Greetings and salutations to all. This is SRxun S officially, but between you and I, forever family, I'm just your brother's son. And I believe that salvation is currency. For today's treatment, I believe that God is really speaking to me about my value. And He's not just speaking to me about it today, but He's reminding me of it. I would say over the past at least a good week, that has really been a reoccurring theme for me. You know, knowing my value, because when I know what I'm worth, I'll allow things and not allow things. I will do things and not do things. I will conduct myself in a manner that's conducive to what I'm worth. You look at it, pennies are discarded. Oh, it's just a penny. But let it be $1 million check. Well, that's not currency. Let it be, and this is fairy tale land. But I believe at one point they did exist, like a $100,000 bill, or I don't know if they ever had $1 million bill. But something like that is not going to be discarded. In fact, let me put it in something that I can speak of for more certainty, a $2 bill, not even in circulation anymore, would be highly valuable. And I think back on it, going about, self-worth, or I'm sorry, jumping ahead, the worth, which can be equated to self-worth, but the worth, I used to, growing up, have and encounter so many $2 bills and not thinking about its worth, just spent it and figured it comes, it goes. But those that either had an idea or knew the value of this held on to them, and now it's a highly prized possession. And so I began thinking, what were some of the reasons of this? One of them was taking for granted the situation. $2 bills at that time were in heavy rotation. Well, no, those are records. They were in circulation. They were going around. They were commonplace, you may say. And so, because it was something that was always there or common, I took it for granted. As I sit here and I am talking, my mind is actually wandering off and thinking about how this equates to individuals. Well, you don't know, I'll tell you. I found out I use that little phrase a lot, so that little filler phrase, so I'm being more mindful of it. Back to the regularly scheduled program. So the reason why this is so pertinent to me is that not knowing the value of oneself causes a diminishing of others' value. So I can just equate that to hopefully more layman terms, is a penny is common and valued and lying on the floor, then it may see other coins or other bills in the same light. I guess what I'm saying is that because of my perception of low self-worth, I was only able to project that same idea on others. Now, I know for a fact that the Lord doesn't hold that to my charge, because He doesn't expect more of me than I can give. And if I'm not able to do it for myself, then it's impossible to do it for someone else. And I truly believe that's why He has allowed me this opportunity to go to Him, and if I'm going to stay with the theme of things, to the head banker, so that he can, or the head treasurer, so that he can now explain to me and break it down for me the value of things on the highest of levels. Because in the kingdom of heaven, the least expensive thing in heaven is worth more than the most expensive thing of earth, is my opinion. And so again, God just being so kind to me is teaching me this lesson, which I'm so glad I'm able to share with you. So trying to move this thing forward and using all this in context, chapter 27 verses 1 to 8 is where God began reminding me of this in today's treatment. And I'll put the topic of self-valuation, not self-evaluation, even though it does take that, and I think I explained that in understanding one's worth in order to see the worth of others and everything else. But self-valuation is the main idea of this share. And again, in chapter 27, verses 1 to 8, God is actually speaking of putting a number, a value on His people. So of course, breaking it down, He says an individual from 1 month old to 5 years old, we're gonna equate, now they use the currency of shekels and gerahs, but he equates a value of, and I'll just say to be safe now, a value of 5 to a male between the ages of 1 month to 5 years old, and a value of 3 to a female in the same age group. From the ages of 5 to 20, he gives the value of 20 for a male and 10 for a female. From the ages of 20 to 60, it's 50 for the male and 30 for the female. And then from 60 on up, it's 15 for the male and 10 for the female. So with, this idea of self-worth and things like that being formed in my life, of course, this really stood out to me. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Let me see if I can make sense of it. Let me see if I can break it down. So I start getting into it and I start looking at the numbers. And I'm like, okay, well, the value for both is the highest between the ages of 20 and 60. Now, of course, I also started looking at how come it's not equal for both male and female. I do believe that we are all equal in the sight of God. However, we do have different roles. And I love to think about it in the way of yin and yang. When you see that symbol, it's a circle. So there's no beginning and really no end to it. There is a distinction between the two elements, the yin and the yang. They both contain the same colors, but in a different pattern. So I believe the yang, which represents the male, is black with a white spot, and the yin is white with a black spot. And there is a distinction between the two. However, the way they both together form the circle and make the whole, but they have their roles. And both are needed for balance, or what is called in the medical field, homeostasis. So I was like, well, all right, Lord, what is the difference? And my conclusion is that we are both equal. The male, by God's design, because he created man first, I believe is meant, it's a headship, it's a leadership. I believe a lot of what we see in our society today is the result of lack of proper leadership. And this all starts with the family unit. I'm not sure if you see the theme, and if you maybe feel I'm redundant or reoccurring, it's just gonna happen because God, as he takes me through this 66 book lesson on love, it's line upon line. And so he's just gonna build and build and build. It's like when you learn how to, a PhD learns how to write books, it's all based on the foundation of his ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. So I said that to say, if going back to the family unit, like I've spoken before, is that the broken homes, bastard children, all of this is disrupting the right order of things. So I believe the reason for the value being placed a little bit more on the male is that while they both have the same is required of both, the male has to keep it on course, going in the right direction. So I think that's what the emphasis is placed on the male. And that's why I believe that manhood, the male, the head is being attacked everywhere we look. Because what good is a body without a head? So that's what I get from the, what you would call the disparity, whatever it is, the difference in numbers. But then I also looked and I said, okay, why in this age group? And I saw, okay, being a singles guy and stuff like that, I was like, okay, 20 to 60 is one age group. So man, okay, if I become a 60-year-old man, I'm still good, getting a God-fearing 20-something-year-old. Just, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it's not creepy or anything, but I'm just really being transparent. In any case, this 20 to 60-year-old range, for me, I feel that is the prime. Because within this range, there is an accumulation of knowledge and strength to be able to perform at the highest level. Now, the second most valuable, if we're going to say, would be the age 5 to 20 range. Now, it's most valuable really when based on the male, the headship, because for both the 5 to 20 age group and the 60 plus age group, the female is valued at 10, whereas the male in the 5 to 20 is valued at 20, and at 60 plus a little lower at 15. But that shows me there the role of the female, which is important. For while the male provides the head, the leadership, the direction, the female provides the base, the stability. In any case, I believe the 5 to 20 range is the next most valuable because this is the developmental stage. And I'll say this, I'll just say it out in general. I started using mind-altering substances very early in my developmental years as a teenager. And they all talk about how crucial this is. They say by age 5, you as a kind of a person is already formed. I guess your personality and things like that. Whereas from 5 to 20, you're now becoming who you are. And for me, during the developmental process, I began, I would say, hindering that process. Drugs and alcohol and things made me begin taking on a whole nother life of its own. And I had not even began to develop and become who I was as a person, much less as a man and as a son, as a brother, so on and so forth. And so now I find myself having to go back and lay that groundwork again. So if there's anyone out there, if I could give any advice, it wouldn't really be to say no to drugs, so to say, because the pharmaceutical industry is the biggest drug dealers and they're legal. And for me, most dangerous. But what I would say is to anyone, especially the 5 to 20-year-olds, give yourself enough time to develop and become who you are. Then once you get out of there, if you decide to go into other dimensions, let me just say that, at least you know the contrast. You'll know, okay, this is not me because I'm this. You know yourself, you're fully formed. So when you get into an altered state, you know the difference. Whereas by not becoming fully formed, it's very easy to believe that being in the altered state is who you are. So I think that's why that age group is the next one down in value, because it is so crucial. That is the developmental. Because whatever you develop into in that stage is what you're either going to lead others to in the most valuable phase, or, be responsible for providing stability in the most valuable phase of life. And then, of course, I believe the third most valuable is the 60 plus. I believe at that point, the role now becomes more of a supporting role, where the knowledge and experience is most invaluable but it's more of laying a roadmap, giving a guideline, giving insider tips, so to say. And then, of course, you have your fourth, the beginning developmental stages of 1 month to 5 years old. So, and with numbers, especially if I can't see them, it just becomes Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. So I hope I didn't do too much of that, but that's just an understanding of going back to the valuation of persons. And actually, that's a direct quote from the Lord, from the portion of the treatment today in chapter 27, verse 2. So that brings me back to myself, and God saying, all right, so first of all, it's very important to practice self-evaluation, because this is how I get to understand my currency. And I would say my value is, if I can equate it to, it's like a stock. It goes up, it goes down, it's never stagnant. So I always believe in the saying that you either get one day better or one day worse. The only time you stay the same is when what we have termed, or I don't know if they say it's completely incorrect, but the term retarded, to be retard, that's what that means. The growth has been stunted. And I wasn't gonna say, but I can't help going back to talking to those with the mind altering things. That's what it ultimately does. It retards. Wherever you're at that point, it retards. So even if you're outside of the age of development, if you're 35, 40, whatever it is, wherever you are, and you begin altering your reality, you stay there. You stay there. But at least if you do so outside of, and you've been fully formed, at least you stay fully formed. Okay. But in any case, self-evaluation is necessary. So every day, just like someone that, does a stocks or day trades or whatever, the first thing you do when the market opens, you see the value. Okay, boom, the value's here. And then it moves throughout the day. At the close of the trading day, it has a value. And then, of course, it stays the same overnight. So I equate that to myself. In the morning, I'm like, okay, boom. I've assessed and seen where it's at the night before. And what I try to do is, during the off hours, I'm devising strategies and going to my, I don't know what the term would be in, the stock world, but my financial advisor. The Lord is my everything. He's His word is perfect. He even says in the verses 7 to 8 of the treatment in chapter 27, back referring to him, the high priest. Again, building upon previous treatments, he became my high priest. Jesus Christ is the high priest, and he's the one who analyzes and sets the value, because I align myself up to him, because he is the 100%, the only one. Nothing else, nobody is even capable, again, my opinion, of being 100. We might come as close as 99.9999999, but we're always going to be off. And that's why ultimately God had to be our head, our leader, our focal point, the 100. So every night I go to the high priest, and we sit down and get into the books, and we talk about it, that communication, right? The word and prayer. And I get an idea of where my value is on there. He always sees me, and I'll just say, he always sees me. He always equates me with him. So in his eyes, I'm 100. In his eyes. Because he sees me where I'm going to be with him forever. In eternity, we're all 100 with Jesus. But here, while in the market, let's call this existence the market, we're never gonna get there. Our ceiling is 99.9999. So I assess my value every night. I get an assessment on my value every night and carry that to the next day. Now I've realized that, well, let me not get too technical. So the day starts, and now my value's moving, and I got to continue remembering the principles and things that I've built upon, because the goal is to increase in value. Even if it's by a little bit. You know, some people that do stocks and things, slow and steady are the best. These things that shoot up and down, it's roller coaster-ish, but the steady increments. And then evaluate at the end of the night. So hopefully I've conveyed the message. Haven't drug it on too long. I just want to stay concise by ending it here, by keeping, in order to maintain and grow in self-valuation. And before I stop, I will say, God, the way to do this, I should have kept going. The purpose, I'll just repeat myself. Let me rewind right there. God tells me in chapter 26, verse 12. No, I think I read that wrong. No, it's still in 27. I'm sorry. In 27, he says, every devoted thing is most holy to the Lord. So, in closing, God tells me, which I've touched on probably at many different points, is that in order to maintain a high self-valuation and to keep my stock on the rise, I have to remain devoted to the thing most holy to God. And in my opinion, my belief is he is most devoted to his people. And relationship with him keeps me, again, to use the terminology, on the inside track. So he'll give me inside tips and pointers in order to help me to maintain and grow my stock. Studying the instruction manual, which is the best instructions before leaving Earth, i.e. the market, and to spend time in personal sessions with him, talking about the day's ups and downs, tickers. Because once your stock rises and my stock rises, I am now able to pass on the knowledge. Well, look, even better yet, as stocks rise in a particular sector, our sector being the body of Christ, as stocks begin to rise, our individual self-valued stocks begin to rise, the whole index grows. Enough said, I believe. Caption this.